education, working on helping the community better understand and better become aware of what those symptoms and illnesses are, and trying to erase the stigma. And through that, I was able to contribute to helping the Gainesville Police Department launch their CIT program. And what that is they now have officers who are trained in crisis intervention training. So instead of booking people who are exhibiting behaviors like myself, they're able to better evaluate that situation and divert them to a care unit where they need and get the services that are available. Absolutely. So it's, and as well as creating, there's now a peer respite center, and what that is a house where people like me who are, you know, we have an illness and there's symptoms where you start to feel triggered and aggravated and slowly losing control. It's not a whole, within a minute you're a totally different person, but there's not really a lot of resources to go when you're starting to feel that triggered feeling, and sometimes just being removed from the environment that could be triggering is enough to allow that person to not experience that really, really awful, intense episode that comes from the illness. So the Peer Respite Center is available to anybody who needs a place to stay for a couple of days for free, have access to free therapy, group therapy, meals. It's nice. It's an old Victorian home that the county has bought and totally refurbished.
And this is available to anybody that's going through some
anybody
crisis.
can go there.
So
check it out.
Real quick, when did the CIT program begin?
The CIT program?
Yeah.
I believe it started, I want to say 2012, 2013.
Nice.
And I believe that now it is mandatory for those officers who are coming on board to the force. Right. It's part of their onboard training. So it was elective before, but now it is required.
Let me say thank you personally for that, man. It's just for the work that you do,
not just
man.
me. A lot of people. Commissioner Robert has been instrumental in ensuring that a lot of our vulnerable communities in Gainesville are not left behind and forgotten about.
Commissioner Robert.
Commissioner Hutch.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I know him very well, actually, man. So shout out to him. So can we talk a little bit about the Women's March, both nationally and locally, and your involvement in that, and even the origins and how that all came to be?
Absolutely. The Women's March happened with one woman in response to Trump being elected in 2016. She decided that she was going to launch a Facebook page, had no expectation of what was going to happen, but she was like, we have to resist. And on the day after his inauguration, we need to show up in D.C. and say, no, like he doesn't represent us, and we're going to resist every single agenda on his, platform, and so on and so forth. And overnight, it just blew up. And women who are already invested in social causes up in D.C. and the New York area, Bob Lamb, Linda Sarsour, Tamika Mallory, joined and became the face of the Women's March and helped women who are in all different 50 states, all the way up from Alaska to Hawaii, where the woman was who originally started it, and here in Florida. Emma McCollum helped coordinate women from all different areas in Florida get scheduled to ride on a rally bus and take a 12-hour trip all the way up to D.C., march all day, get back on that bus, and come back home. And it's the single largest march that's happened in U.S. history. Wow. To this day, and it was also organized in 60 days. Those sisters out there.
I appreciate y'all so much, man.
Yeah, super crazy. So it originally started out to just be a march, and then through conversations and people being really passionate about marching and resisting and standing up for vulnerable communities. Absolutely. They came home and organized and launched 100 Days of Action. It's like 2 weeks after the march, they came home, and all of these captains from these different geographical areas across the nation had a meeting. In Gainesville, there was over 500 people at the Unitarian Universalist Church that showed up to say, what can we do? And we had action groups: criminal justice, racial justice, climate justice, education awareness, affordable health care, like all these different subjects, and they just hit the ground running immediately.
That's so awesome, and that's why and it's so awesome just the power of organization that you guys have. That, like you say, on a whim, you guys created the largest march in history. I mean, that's just remarkable. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Can we move on to the local march? And you know, I know you was an organizer there. We just had one this past weekend. Can you talk a little bit about what everything that was covered there and
sure.
And some of the groups?
In 2018, what the Women's March did is, you know, their theme for this year, for 2018, is Power to the Polls. 2018 is the midterm elections when they come up, where we can potentially turn Congress blue.
Absolutely.
And that allows, you know, that stops his agenda even more. So they had a national convention in Las Vegas because Nevada has the most seats that are possibly that could turn blue, so they're focusing a lot of energy on getting out the vote there,
big old
informing the voters, pushing. They're able to endorse and help campaigns for women who are running. So in Florida, what we did is we had 4 official marches and rallies. Saturday, people marched in some of those areas, and on Sunday, we had rallies that were outside that consisted of people running for office in the 2018, both for county, city, and state. Andrew Gillum was at my rally in Miami that I was at.
So it wasn't just female candidates?
I'm sorry?
It wasn't just female candidates? Okay.
Nope, it wasn't. There were a few male speakers there that are heavy hitters for intersectional issues.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely about giving them a platform to educate the public as well. But it was through these rallies that people got to get close to some of these politicians and hear them, and it made them more human, it made them more accessible, and it's kind of like a pep rally in high school where you just get pumped and you get excited and you have energy and momentum, and it keeps you in it. So
it inspires you. Okay, cool. So as far as I want to talk a little bit more about the local march, and I know you guys have a lot of different services and different things to offer to not just women but the community.
Like the local chapter, Gainesville's chapter, or Florida?
Gainesville.
Sure. So the Gainesville chapter, what we've done, there were people who gathered at Bo Diddley over the weekend, and they gave a platform for local women. I'm not sure if any men spoke at this venue. Like I said, I was invited to Miami and I went there. But 1,000 people showed up to Bo Diddley Plaza on Sunday, where there were women, Alicia Magruder, who's running against Ted Yoho, Shanae Baker, who's not running for office but definitely should.
Shout out to Shanae. Shanae kept me on the phone one night till about 2 in the morning.
Right.
I said, girl, I got to go. But hey, she is so powerful, man. Shout out to Shanae.
So great.
She's been here before.
So great, and I feel really lucky that Gainesville has a woman like her.
Absolutely.
You know, to fight for people that need, you know, attention.
She's the
most.
best. She's the best.
But they did that, so they had speakers, and that. What's really neat is it didn't just happen in Gainesville, but the other towns that didn't necessarily have a rally, the chapter members there made it so that they had a place to organize and feel a part of, because you know there are women who can't just go travel on a day. They have babies, or they're single mothers, or so on and so forth. They have to work, and they wanted to make it available for everybody.
Absolutely. Cool. And then I saw a lot of footage on the news and everything. I mean, a lot of people were pink, had a lot of male support. Seems like and even down to the small kids, you know what I mean? And I think it's really important for our small girls to see, you know, and especially with a lot of push right now for a lot of female candidates in this next election too. That's going to be very groundbreaking, you know what I'm saying? Like, because they bringing up little girls in the world to make it the norm to see them. So I think that's so awesome what you guys are doing.
Thanks.
If we could talk about, real quick, I mean, if you could touch on just basic issues that affect women every day that men, not just men, but people just might not be, society kind of ignores, kind of gets swept under the rug, you know, that we want to bring more to light, if it's okay.
What about formerly incarcerated women or just women?
Either one, whatever you want to. Yeah, you got the floor. But yeah, I was just talking about like just women. Period. Like why should we empower women? Why is it important at this moment?
Well, really, I mean, if you look at okay, so you know the Roy Moore who was running in Alabama,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay, so
Pedophile.
you look at that situation and you look at who really made it so that he was not electable. It was black women.
It was. That's a fact.
So, and there are other examples where when the majority of black women are supporting a cause or are endorsing something, there are almost always causes that everybody wins, where nobody is left behind,
Right.
where everybody is thought
You're right. You're right.
and we come at it with a attitude of when women win, everybody wins.
Right. Okay.
It has been women when they are in judge positions, when they are attorneys, when they are in leadership positions. Typically, what happens is they're more apt to think outside of themselves and to think in a motherly playground mode than you're going to have with a typical male top politician.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're saying, women, we are fierce, we are mothers, we are strong, we're survivors, and through by empowering women, like I said, when women win, everybody wins.
Right.
You're empowering everybody.
I agree. Cool. So, all right, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but I really want you to go into the Free Her Project.
Okay, yeah.
That's cool.
So I launched the Free Her Project just earlier this year. I have been, I'm a member of the National Council of Formerly Incarcerated and Incarcerated Women, and one of those members, Donna Hilton, spoke at the march in Washington last year in 2017, and that was the first time that I saw a formerly incarcerated woman like myself be given such a wide, huge audience. And that her message was, we demand a voice too. What's happening behind those gates is insane. We're continuing to victimize and, hurt women who have pretty much been victimized and hurt in the first place. And it's not saying that, their crimes are not valid or what they did is not, doesn't need to deserve a consequence. However, justice is not really served to either side.
Right.
Our criminal justice system is not working. Our communities are not continuing to be safe. The numbers aren't there to support it. So what we need to do is to be able to, people can't re-enter society because of tort laws when it comes to insurance and hiring policies. People aren't able to get housing because you're able to discriminate against anybody that has a conviction. People aren't able to get education because if you have a drug charge, you're ineligible for financial aid.
Right.
And the list goes on and on and on. The obstacles and the loss of just your dignity, and especially with Florida. I mean, right now we're running the Say Yes campaign to just be able to even get the right to vote back. We're one of 3 states that disenfranchises a person who's been convicted of a felony for life. That's such an archaic way of thinking.
and no recourse.
It's a disservice.
Right.
Yeah, we're really eliminating Florida from a lot of potential opportunity. I will tell you this: the women that I met while I was incarcerated, they were like MacGyvers, like some of the smartest, slyest, energetic, brilliant people I've ever met,
right.
and their talent will never have a platform.
Wow.
So
it's tragic. I wanted you to touch on that a little bit. We're going to talk about it a little more when we talk about Cut 50, but just some things that women face, especially women who may, like you said, be bringing kids into the world, that they may face behind bars that we just don't know about from day to day. If you could touch on some of that.
What they go through?
Yeah. Sure.
So it's interesting. I mean, a lot of this is up for debate and are hot topics right now, but particularly with women and incarceration, a lot of issues are where the impact of their incarceration, it seeps into layers of other people, especially women that have children. That all of a sudden they're there and then they're not. And then there's no awareness or care or thought of that woman's child. The court provides no service to take care of them. So that in and of itself is just brutal,
right,
and cruel and unusual if you want to really think about it. Absolutely. And a lot of times when women get locked up, you're transferred to facilities that are hundreds of miles away from home,
right,
where visitation becomes almost non-existent. And especially if you're getting double-digit sentences, if you're down for over 10 years, they say they don't strategically do it that way, but the numbers support that they do.
Wow.
A lot of women are moved all the way out in the Panhandle that are from South Florida.
Right.
I mean, and that's like a 12-hour drive.
Yes, it is.
And so what happens is families are broken.
Uh-huh.
Those relationships go away. The cost that it takes to call home becomes so exorbitant for 15 minutes at a time, you know, that it doesn't perpetuate that person who's incarcerated to have a successful reentry.
Right.
And what you're left with is what I witnessed during my very short time there, where they had families on the inside.
Right.
There's a mom, there's a dad, there's sisters, there's like daughters, you know, and there's a tribe. It's so interesting to see that these women are surviving a horrific experience by taking care of each other and looking out for one another, which, you know, it says a lot.
Yeah, it does. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but can we tell the people how they can be involved with the Free Her Project real quick?
Sure. So the Free Her Project, okay, where I'm going with this is I am in touch with formerly incarcerated women across the state, as well as women that have a loved one that is currently or formerly incarcerated as well. And what I'm doing is I am involved with the Campaign for Criminal Justice Reform in the state of Florida. We need your voice, we need your experience, we need to know how you were impacted and be able to present those stories to legislators that are voting on legislation that's coming up, because you are the experts.
Absolutely.
We are the experts. I have a Facebook page, it's called the Free Her Project. It's simple, like it. I have a link on that page to be able to fill out a contact form so that you can send me the information and I will get information back to you about how to advocate and empower not only yourself but other formerly incarcerated women in your area. It is through the collective organizing and coalition building of each other that will never be silenced again.
Absolutely. And
that we can really create a justice system that gets justice through healing. Using education, using healing, using a peer-based initiative, and being able to change laws and offer alternative sentencing guidelines that really allow justice.
Nice.
You know, and that's pretty much it. And I'll also be working, like you said, with the Cut 50 campaign. There's going to be an empathy network, and we're going to build that in Florida. And what that is we'll have a room full of legislators, formerly incarcerated people who have been victims of crime, all in one room discussing what they went through.
Awesome.
And then that way, everybody's humanized, everybody sees each other, and there's a connection, and then solutions can come.
Right, because, I mean, we get so caught up in just black and white, you know, without, there ends up being no face behind those stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you said, once we humanize the situation, I mean, that allows us to heal. I think that's brilliant.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make sure that we post the links to everything you say on our Facebook page as well. So, but just to shout it out real quick, the Free Her Project on Facebook, guys, if you want more information on that. All right, so you mentioned Cut 50. Can we get into that?
Okay, so Cut 50 happened. It's kind of funny. They had posted, I think it was a video talking about, you know, formerly incarcerated women. And I've been doing some research. I'm a total research nerd. I love to know everything, you know. A lot of these campaigns that are calling for criminal justice reform, some of their funding is coming from people like the Koch brothers and Alec, who have funded the problem, you know? So I called them out on Facebook, and I was like, what's this about?
Right.
And I screenshot who their funding was through, and I said, I like what you're saying, but I don't like where the people that are involved.
Explain why that's a problem. Explain why that's a problem, that they get their funding from
absolutely.
the same sources that are funding mass incarceration.
Exactly.
Right.
So there was a trust element. These are the people who are responsible for mass incarceration and the prison industrial complex.
Right.
Completely, 100% fully responsible.
Especially Alec.
To see them be involved and the response to it, to me, created a level of mistrust.
Right, disingenuous.
What's your angle? Because these people have shown and proved, and the numbers are there to support it, that they're about money.
Yes.
They're not about solving a problem. They're not about like social awareness. They're not about making communities safer. They're about their shareholders.
Right.
They're all private, billionaire corporations. So, what they said, I called it out and I was like, well, what's this about? I have concerns, and I'm like, Pew's involved. There are some good agencies that are involved, and she responded. Jessica Jackson, who's one of the co-founders along with Dan Jones, actually reached directly out to me, and she was like, it's a bipartisan effort. We're having discussions. There is awareness that this is no longer working, and they do want to take responsibility, and we're trying to introduce legislation that is a response to the problem. And that's great. That satisfies some things. There's definitely more of a conversation that needs to be had. Like, where's the legislation that is not a response to a problem, but that is long-sighted, that is sustainable, and that is about a safe community.
Absolutely.
So we're still going to be having those conversations
because
I won't let them off.
That's right. And we're going to definitely get into some legislation that's already in the works of getting passed. I do got to play a few commercials real quick.
Okay.
Not commercials, but underwriting sponsors. And then we'll be right back. And I want to jump right in back. I want to talk about the National Council for Incarceration and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls and everything that they got going on too. So, I'm going to keep it like right here. We got Carrie Webb in the building. And man, we're going to be discussing a whole lot more, everything concerning women this week, y'all. Keep it like right here, WBT 90.1 FM The Beat. This is Jeff Jefferson. I forgot I had to play some commercials. They won't take but a second.
Did we do all right?
Oh man, you're a pro. You had this done press before, huh? Yeah, I'm sure you had. You handled it so well.
It's easy to talk about stuff you love.
That's what I was just telling the young lady that just left. I mean, I try to let the guests and people, when they're passionate about something, it's not really much work I got to do. I mean, it's all yours. The one thing I try to do though is make sure that we cover everything that you want to get covered.
Sure.
So, what I got left over here is the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls.
Okay.
And what that's all about, and even the legislation that Cory Booker. We'll talk about that a little bit. I try to always give a way that the audience can be involved in.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. If they sign a contract form, they fill that out, and it is.
Give them everything they need.
We'll put it on the. Ooh. I have a girl who's violating her. That's the other thing I do is something is called participatory defense, and it's helping people currently facing charges humanize themselves in front, and you can save years on sentences.
Wow.
Just by having stories told in court.
Right.
It's insane. So basically, yeah, just by like liking the page, you'll see the. I'm gonna put it up there again. That's the group. That's where I posted it before. But seriously, I posted, there's a group called Inmate Lives Matter, and it's all Florida felons. But I will be sending out mass communications about when you need to call your senators.
Okay.
Are you willing to be involved in telling your story? And I have connections with editors from papers all over the state who are willing to give people a platform to share their story.
And how is that? Is that all going to be on the Free Her Facebook?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the connection.
Okay.
Like if they get to the Free Her spot, I have a huge database of women who are willing to act, and then I can also push information to them.
Okay.
And hopefully they're organizing in their small circles so
right.
that they can push, so it's a streamlined
Okay, so that should be the best way to actually get them to contact you. Okay,
yeah.
cool. I just want to make sure we got the right people, we got the right way to, So, we'll play most of this song, which will be about another 2 minutes, and then we'll have another about 8 minutes of dialogue. So
yeah, that's what we have left?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, go about fast. Hold on very fast. So yeah, as long as we can touch on
I
that.
know when I was speaking, they were like, "Time's up."
Really? Yeah. So I never do that. I never do that to you. But I just want to make sure we get everything. So let me know if there's anything that we haven't covered. You know what I mean? That you definitely want to get out there. You know what I mean?
I just want people to. Oh, that's your address. I'm not going to post that.
Thank you.
I just want people to sign up, but I want people that, you know, are, if they're willing to organize or if they're willing to volunteer, if they're willing to write a story, if they're willing to, you know, show their face. Like, we don't have to be silent anymore.
Right.
I want people to feel like they're not alone.
Understood.
It's a really isolating.
Right. A lot of people, I can see a lot of people being intimidated by the whole.
Absolutely.
Right. You know what I mean? I understand.
Absolutely, especially in Florida.
Right. Right.
God.
Can we talk about that a little bit? About Florida's history with the laws and the penal system here? And like you said, one of the three. I didn't know that we were one of the three states that
It's
that
okay.
it
Yeah.
taken away completely.
Governor Chris did an executive order that restored rights to people who had been finished with their seventh sentence for 7 years. I mean, granted, the legislation that's coming up now is better, and a governor will never be able to change that because it's actual legislation and not an executive order. And it will, as soon as your sentence is over, you're done. You'll be reinstated. You won't
Really?
have to wait 7 years.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Is that the one that everybody's talking about right now?
Mm-hmm.
The 1.5 million people?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. All right. Cool.
All right. It's out there.
This is kind of unrelated, but it is. I asked you about it earlier though. Do you want to talk about rape culture at all? No. It's not really
That's not like my specialty.
Right, it's not really related anyway. I got general questions that I kind of ask every guest I'm having, but that's not a big deal. What about can I ask you what men can do to empower women?
What?
Can I ask you what men can do to empower women?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
So that'll be cool. And I think that's it. Also, I mean, I guess what I'll start with is, actually, let me see. I was going to talk about Cut 50 and how they can sign the petition, but I'll just send them to the Free Her Project.
I'll send all that information.
Right, you can just, okay, so that's...
I already got all that set up, yeah.
Okay. All right. Got about 10 seconds. We got about 7 minutes. What's going on, Gainesville? Welcome back. It's your boy Jerk Jerkins right here on the WMBT 90.1 FM, The Beat, on the Jerk Jerkins Show. And it is my pleasure, man, real treat to have Miss Carrie Webb in the building today. Thank you for coming by, Carrie.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Absolutely. Now, we left off, we had a whole lot of information last segment, but if we could talk about the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls and what they're all about and how you got involved with them.
Sure. I found out them through a woman named Jody Polk. Jody Polk was the first female in Florida to become a member of the National Council. Right. She informed me about them late last year, and what they do, they have a symposium nationally every year, and it's from women come from around the country who are formerly incarcerated. Most of these women have an organization or a transitional home or a reentry center or have some kind of nonprofit that serves their community.
Nice.
And they advocate for their community. They've also been involved in legislation, all different kinds of stuff. So these are really heavy hitters. They're the sheroes of criminal justice reform. So it's really an honor to be able to be a member and associated with such fantastic, remarkable women. Pretty much all you have to do to be a council member is you got to pay. There's like a $5 fee. Organizations who also serve the same, vulnerable, demographic can be affiliated with the National Council. I think right now that it's your first year is free, and then after that there's like a $100 affiliation fee, and then what that means is that you share resources and you can say that you're allied and partnered with the National Council. They're very well respected with big time senators, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren. The alternative
That's like the all-star team right there.
Yeah, totally, totally. They
It
introduced legislation over the summer that had the alternative sentencing for primary caretakers, specifically addressing women who were facing nonviolent felonies with minimum mandatory sentencing guidelines at the federal level. They're trying to incorporate and introduce legislation that allows the judge to use his own discretion and to say, in lieu of incarceration, GPS monitoring or community supervision, so on and so forth. And it is through their stories, and it is through they participated in actually writing that legislation. So it really is imperative that people come out of the shadows that have experience with incarceration, because it is only through our stories and through our experience, because again, I'll say we are the experts, that real change can happen.
Right.
And justice really be served.
So I'm saying it's so everything is so cut and dry, and we have to. It always helps, what I mean, to put a picture of. I mean, to paint a picture of a face behind those stories and behind those charges. You can really delve into what we can actually start to fix and heal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So real quick, now, like I said, it's kind of off topic, but what can men do to help empower women?
Absolutely, that's a great question. Actually, the first thing that comes up for me, listening skills. When you're women, part of being empowered is being heard, is being seen. And when you're in a situation where you see a woman needing a platform or experiencing emotions, having a difficult day, frustrated, whatever, the biggest blessing, the biggest sense of support, I believe, that somebody can show that person is to change the narrative, put yourself in the back seat, provide somebody that says, hey, talk to me, I want to hear you, I want to hear what you have to say, and everything that comes out of her mouth is not about you.
Right.
Don't personalize it. Don't engage in it from a way of being defensive. If it triggers something in you and something comes up, put that in the back seat too, and just listen and be able to repeat back to her what she said. Hey, I hear you're feeling this. I hear you're saying this. And then that way there's that validating sense. And just through being seen, heard, and validated, that in and of itself supplies a measure of a level of confidence and self-esteem and energy that is priceless.
Awesome. That's so awesome. Real quick, I forgot to ask you, sorry about this. But can you talk a little bit about the legislation that Cory Booker introduced to the House of Representatives with the National Council, some of the stuff that he used? I'm sorry, I didn't ask you that before.
No, it's okay. No, I said a little bit of it. It's the alternative sentencing for primary caretakers.
Right.
Basically, it's like right now when you get arrested for federal drug charges, they introduced minimum mandatory sentencing in the 90s with the whole drug, war on drug things. So what they're doing in lieu is to try and dismantle that kind of thinking.
Right.
Is saying, as an alternative, does this person qualify because she has children, or if she's a victim of abuse herself? Can the judge use his discretion to sentence her in a way that really allows true rehabilitation? Because that's what jail is for and prison is for people to obviously have a consequence and to be rehabilitated so they no longer present society to be a dangerous person.
Right.
So everybody's different. To have an across the board answer and solution for every single offender is a setup, and it doesn't really serve justice. But that's it. And there's going to be more movement and additions and amendments to this bill that's being talked about this year.
Cool.
So I will definitely keep people updated
Don't
as much
forget,
as possible.
man, you can always contact Miss Carrie Webb on Facebook at the Free Her Project.
Yes,
right?
The Free Her Project.
All this information that we're talking about now, she's gonna keep you posted there. I'm sure you say you got a database there for people to sign up.
Yes, I have a Google form that I send to everybody who wants to be involved in my database. And what my database is a collection of people, organizations that are either formerly incarcerated deeply impacted by mass incarceration, justice-involved people, as well as organizations that serve that community. What I will do is be in communication with you about legislation that's coming up, senators who are involved, how to contact them, how to stay involved, how to pressure them to continue to vote in the honor of justice, which is to hear our stories. It's also about stories that are happening, calls to action. It's a way to help you organize in your local community and to continue to empower yourself and other people. My goal is I would love to see all different cities in the state of Florida have like a group of formerly incarcerated people who are impacted by mass incarceration or justice-involved people know one another in a way that is like a support group. Like there's no support in support groups for people who experience the justice system.
Wow.
It's for kids even.
That's amazing.
Like you don't have anybody to talk to. So
Jeez.
I'm trying to just change the whole culture and to make it one of healing, education, awareness, and community.
Well, I just want to thank you on behalf of our community because it's one of the big issues in our community as well. So I mean, you really deserve kudos for everything that you do.
Right.
We're running out of time. I'm sorry, man. Real quick, we talk about real quick before we get out of here. We want to shout out Andrew Gillum real quick if we could for 2018.
Yes, hi Andrew.
Yeah,
shout out.
Big supporter of him.
Gosh.
And
we will see you in the Capitol.
That would be so awesome.
2019, you'll be up in there, and we'll see you, and you will give Florida its shine back.
That is so awesome. I think that's a good place to end it right there. Well, hey, Carrie, thanks again for coming by. Y'all don't forget to go check Carrie out right now on Facebook, the Free Her Project.
Please do. Free Her Project.
Free Her Project. And yo, man, thanks again for coming by.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
I gotta get up out of here. This is boy Jake Jenkins right here on the WBT. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. Oh, those girls are gonna kill me.
So good.